Recently, I've made the decision to create content around Fist of the North Star. So far, I've made 2 videos, this one being the third. If you look back at the previous 2 and then the one you're currently watching, you might notice a similarity between them. In all 3 videos, Dragon Ball is a part of their titles. This was done for multiple reasons. I like to consider this an anime channel of sorts. Although that is the case, the majority of the content I've covered in the past has all been Dragon Ball related. It's my favorite anime, so it makes sense there'd be an abundance of Dragon Ball content here. That effectively attracts Dragon Ball fans to my channel. The problem with that is that not all Dragon Ball fans care for other anime. I've seen Dragon Ball fans that only exclusively watch Dragon Ball and nothing else. This is problematic for me because Dragon Ball isn't the only thing I wish to cover here. I've seen YouTubers that specialize in Naruto and Bleach content. I've never come across them, but I know there are YouTubers that specialize in One Piece content. Yet, I've never seen Hokuto no Ken covered to the same degree as other popular anime and manga. So I've decided to do it myself. Now the reason I continue to mention Dragon Ball and Hokuto no Ken video titles is so I can introduce the Dragon Ball fans on this channel to Fist of the North Star. I can take this approach with many anime. Naruto, Bleach, Hunter x Hunter. They are all inspired by Dragon Ball and carry similarities to the series that can appeal to Dragon Ball fans that are willing to give them a chance. The opposite applies to Fist of the North Star. It is Dragon Ball that has taken some inspiration from Fist of the North Star. I do not say this simply because Hokuto no Ken predates Dragon Ball, but because I have proof that Dragon Ball was in fact inspired by certain elements of Hokuto no Ken to help boost its popularity. Believe it or not, Dragon Ball wasn't always hot shit. Back in the 20th of May 2020, Hiroshi Matsuyama, the president and CEO of CyberConnect 2, interviewed Kazuhiko Torishima, one of Akira Toriyama's old editors. In the interview, Torishima stated that around the end of the Pilaf saga, Dragon Ball's popularity was diminishing. He didn't want the story of Dragon Ball to get repetitive in terms of the plot revolving around searching for the Dragon Balls and summoning the dragon at the end of each conflict. To keep the story fresh, Goku was giving a training arc alongside Krillin. After training with Roshi, the results of their training would be displayed in the form of a tournament arc. Thus, the Tenkaichi Budokai was born, and would be the stage set for Goku and Krillin to test their limits. Ever since Dragon Ball became more martial arts focused, it became extremely popular, and would maintain its popularity. In order to organize a fresh story for Dragon Ball in the first place, Torishima revealed that he had to study the most overwhelmingly popular series at the time, which was Fist of the North Star. It's important to note that he only read 3 volumes of the series. I'm not saying Dragon Ball as a whole was influenced by Hokuto no Ken. It's possible to have multiple influences in one's work. As we all know, Dragon Ball has taken inspiration from other works like Journey to the West and The Terminator, for example. In fact, both Fist of the North Star and Dragon Ball take inspiration from classic kung fu films. The majority of the fighters of both series utilize Chinese martial arts during combat. Now looking back at many of the fights in Dragon Ball, one thing we've seen countless times is rapid fighting. Rather than it being a combination attack or 2 characters throwing a flurry of punches and kicks at each other, while simultaneously blocking and dodging with inhumane levels of speed, this is something that is familiar to every Dragon Ball fan. The first rush attack we see in Dragon Ball is the Roga Fufuken, otherwise known as the Wolf Fang Fist. Yamcha uses his ki to enhance his body and senses as well as his strikes, allowing him to move faster and strike far harder than humanly possible. We can compare this to Kenshiro's signature attack in Fist of the North Star. Kenshiro's Hokuto Hyakuretsu Ken, or North Star 100 Rending Fist. Ken unleashes a flurry of 100 strikes targeting the enemy's pressure points. This causes the opponents to die, violently exploding from the inside out. A little extreme, but it still counts as a rush attack that utilizes rapid strikes. Speaking of rapid strikes, Dragon Ball characters have a habit of fighting at a rapid pace throughout the series. I'm talking about scrapping at an insanely high speed. I believe the first time we see this is in Yamcha's fight against Tien Shinhan during the 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai. As for Fist of the North Star, the first instance we see this is in the anime version of Kenshiro's first battle against Rao. Though I think the 1986 film executes the battle far more better than the anime in terms of animation. The TV anime predates the movie. Another similarity both series share is the usage of ki. Ki isn't a concept invented by Hokuto no Ken or Dragon Ball. If you want to learn more about ki, check out the main anime superpower and its real world equivalent. In that video, I pretty much talk about ki, which is sort of a thing in real life. I'm sure Dragon Ball fans are familiar with the usage of ki throughout the series. It's an energy source used by the majority of fighters throughout the Dragon Ball series. The same can be said about Hokuto no Ken. Ki was introduced in Fist of the North Star in the very first chapter of the manga. Kenshiro uses it to enhance his strength in order to bend the metal bars of a jail cell he was locked in. Going back to Dragon Ball, Yamcha uses Ki to enhance his strength during the Wolf Fang Fist. Funnily enough, both Hokuto no Ken and Dragon Ball would introduce the Ki attack in the exact same year. Rao uses it against Kenshiro, while Jackie-chun would go on to use it against Yamcha. Now let's talk about Ki Blast. Dragon Ball is all about Ki Blast. They range from a variety of shapes and sizes, some capable of blowing opponents away while others are capable of destroying entire planets. Dragon Ball's most famous Ki attack is the Kamehameha. The Kamehameha is a Ki attack in the form of a destructive blast of raw energy. Fist of the North Star has a similar attack. The Tensho Honretsu, or Heaven's Command Charge, is, you guessed it, a Ki attack in the form of a destructive blast of energy. The first regular Ki blast would be fired by both Rao and Kenshiro during their first battle in the 1986 Hokuto no Ken movie. Either way, the Kamehameha would make its debut on March 5th, 1985. Fist of the North Star might have utilized Ki before Dragon Ball, but Dragon Ball was the first to display it in its projective form we're all so familiar with, the Energy Blast. Anyways, that's pretty much it. The two series have a lot more similarities, but I'd be here all day at that point. If you guys are interested in getting into Fist of the North Star, I suggest starting with the 1986 animated movie. I think it's a good entryway and it pretty much introduces you to the world of Fist of the North Star while covering a lot of ground. So yeah, look forward to a lot more Fist of the North Star content in the future.